Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you an unboxing plus on-feet video of the Nike Tiempo Super Ligera 3. Now inside the box, even though this is a high-end model from Nike, they only include the shoes. So it's a similar type of situation to what you're going to get with the Nike Premier. So we'll get these out of the box really quickly. And if you guys could take a second to leave a like on the video, it would be greatly appreciated. So here is a look at the Super Ligera 3, a shoe from Nike that you probably aren't familiar with, and that's because it's only available in Asia. Yes, even the big brands have exclusives that you can't get in every single country, and the Super Ligera 3 is one of those shoes. Now the Super Ligera was at one point available in North America. It was the original Super Ligera that it released, I believe, in 2008, quite a while ago. And since then, I believe the Super Ligera 3 never released in North America. It may have, I could be wrong. It was possibly available in Europe, but the Super Ligera 3, they're on the 3rd edition now, is, like I said, only available in Asia, and it is a high-end model that has some pretty unique aspects about it. One, it's visually a very good-looking shoe, if you ask me, and in terms of the performance aspects that it has to offer, it reminds me of kind of a cross between the Nike Tiempo Legend 5 and the Nike Premier, which is a really good blend because the Legend 5 and the Premier are honestly two of my personal favorite models from Nike to wear at this point in time. Really, really good shoes, so I'm excited to take a closer look at the Tiempo Super Ligera 3. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. Before we get into tech specs, I just want to take a little tour around the Super Ligera 3. Visually, I think that this shoe is stunning. It's one of the best looking Nike models currently out there on the market, even though this isn't available in the North American or even European soccer cleat market. So this colorway, as you can see, is Brazilian themed. You have a mainly yellow base for the leather upper, part of the synthetic midfoot, the laces, the insole, little kind of accents throughout, and then some of the studs are also yellow as well. As far as the blue goes, you're going to find that in both the lateral and medial Nike swooshes. The main portion of the heel is also blue, and if you look at both of the heels side by side, they aren't the same. This one says SL3, which stands for Super Ligera 3, and then this one has a Nike swoosh. So I thought that was a pretty cool little touch that Nike incorporated into this model. You're going to have your little green hints as well, a little bit here in the mesh portion of the tongue, as you guys can see, and then there is a little plastic piece on the lateral side. It looks like a heel counter. It is a harder plastic, but it's just there more as decoration. There's an internal heel counter underneath, so it's nice and solid, but again, it's a nice little touch, and it shows off the Super Ligera 3 branding, which to me just looks really, really good. You have the yellow and then into the metallic silver. This little kind of separation piece, which is again kind of like a fused on rubber. This reminds me a lot of the original CTR 360 Maestri 1, for those of you guys that remember that, where it had that kind of zigzag piece of rubber through the middle, and it separated the two colors just like it's doing here on the Super Ligera. And just little details such as the little line on the top of the sole plate. You can see that it starts green and then fades to yellow. That's just a nice little touch that Nike didn't necessarily have to put into this shoe, but again, it just really makes it feel that much better in terms of overall quality. The sole plate is white with this really kind of cool metallic silver graphic. You can see your SL3 branding right there, one more blue Nike swoosh, and then this little green strip here that runs right through the middle. So overall, really, really happy with the looks of the shoe. Leave your opinions down below in the comments. Do you like this better than the Premier? Do you like this better than the Legend 5? Why or why not? So that's pretty much it as far as what you need to see on the shoe. And next we'll talk about what you need to know when it comes to the overall performance. If I had to compare the Super Ligera 3 to either the Legend 5 or the Nike Premier, I definitely would say that it's closer to the Legend 5 for the simple fact that it incorporates much more modern elements and it has more modern aspects about it in comparison to the very plain Jane Nike Premier. Not to take anything away from that shoe, it's actually really good in terms of overall performance and one of the best values currently out there on the market. But with the Super Ligera 3, there's just a lot more going on overall. Now, as far as the upper goes, you're going to find that the front portion from this little seam right here, going all the way through the forefoot and toe box area, cutting off at this seam right here on the medial side, that is a really nice and soft kangaroo leather upper. The upper is a decent thickness. Again, it's a very similar thickness to what you're going to find on the Tiempo Legend 5, and in terms of quality, it is just as nice as any other high-end kangaroo leather shoes from Nike. So again, nothing to complain about here. It really seems nice. The only thing I guess you could could say is that it would be a little bit nicer if there was more leather included on the upper. So from this seam back on both the lateral and medial side, it's made from a thin, slightly padded synthetic leather material. It's not labeled as Kangalite or anything like that, although it does feel very similar, and the overall softness is really good, so it's not going to take away from the comfort. And what's good about having the synthetic through the midfoot is that it's not going to allow this area of the shoe to overstretch, so it's just going to maintain a more responsive feel in the long run, which, like I said, is arguably better. Perhaps not as nice of a touch as natural leather would provide, but again, you get that better fit and more responsive feel overall. Central lacing system, as you can see, with no fold over tongue. The tongue itself is again made from that synthetic leather material, and then the very bottom portion is made from like a ventilated open mesh, which I guess is kind of a unique little feature here. You're going to find that there are some textured elements on the upper as well. Running through the forefoot and the toe is kind of like a rubberized kind of coating on top of the leather, similar to what you're going to see on the Lunar Gato 2 from Nike, but this one does feel a little bit more heavy duty overall, and part of the reason why that's there is, one, to allow for a little bit of additional grip on the ball, but two, for durability, because this is actually a hard ground cleat, which I believe is the only variation the Super Ligera 3 is available in. So the stud pattern we'll talk about more a little bit later, but the hard ground variation is part of the reason why you have this extra texturing, because it's supposedly allowed or designed, sorry, to be used on hard natural grass or even artificial grass, depending on the playing surface that you are on. So kind of an interesting thing. We don't really have hard ground stud patterns here in North America or even in Europe, just because firm ground seems to be the most common. But in terms of hard ground stud patterns, and again, we'll talk about it more later, this one doesn't seem to be particularly low profile. It seems very similar to the firm ground stud patterns on the Nike Premier and the Legend 5. Other elements on the upper include, again, more of that rubberized kind of sandpaper-like texturing here on the heel. Kind of an interesting little element. Curious to see if that's going to have any impact on how these shoes feel when making touches on the ball. And then the little exterior piece here on the lateral side has some nice kind of texturing to it, and it's actually rubberized, so it's going to provide, again, a little bit of additional grip on the back of your heel. Again, not sure how useful that is, but it is a cool feature nonetheless, and again, it's going to definitely hold up in the long run. You have your internal plastic heel counter, like I mentioned, a similar cut to what you're going to find on the Legend 5. It's lower cut, but not as low cut as something like a Hypervenom or a Mercurial would be. That heel liner, as you can see, is pretty much 100% suede, which is really nice. It's extremely soft, has that nice gray coloring, and in terms of just general comfort from right out of the box, it's definitely going to deliver. The insole is fully removable. You can see it's yellow in color, has your Super Ligera 3 branding. It has this smooth synthetic material on the top, but it's got kind of this graphic kind of textured into the upper, so it's going to provide a little bit of additional grip when you kind of put your foot inside and start moving around. It's one single layer of this black foam material, then you're going to find a pour-on insert right there in the heel to provide that little bit of extra cushion. So overall, really nice insole, and again, nothing to complain about whatsoever. Moving on to the sole plate and the stud pattern. The sole plate is interesting in that it is more of a flexible plastic material, again similar to what you're going to find on the Legend 5. I would argue that it does feel a little bit thicker, but not by much, and you're also going to find rivets all over the sole plate here. So one at the back of the heel, two on the sides of the forefoot, as you guys can see, and then two right at the tip of the toe. And again, this plays into the hard ground and to be as durable as possible kind of features that have been incorporated into the Super Ligera 3. So again, I'm kind of curious to see how this shoe is going to hold up in the long run. It's one of those shoes that I'm expecting to put a lot of hours into, because I can tell you already, I think I'm going to like these. I'm generally a fan of this style of shoe. So again, durability was definitely taken into consideration when they made the Super Ligera 3. So that is definitely something that's interesting, and something that I guess a lot of people would probably hope to have or hope to see in the North American and European releases from Nike as well. Although I don't necessarily think that there's anything that they make right now that is particularly bad when it comes to overall durability. Again, like I mentioned, the stud pattern is labeled as a hard ground stud pattern, and you can see the length of the studs, I guess you could argue, are a little bit shorter than the firm ground variation on the Legend 5, but in comparison to the Nike Premier, they are just as long, if not even a little bit longer. The profile is ever so slightly larger, but again, nothing too significant in comparison to other hard ground stud patterns that I've seen in the past. So again, it's definitely going to be very usable as a firm ground shoe. And as far as the layout is concerned, again, it's pretty much a standard Tiempo stud pattern layout, with the major difference being that in comparison to the Tiempo Legend 5, this has conical studs in the heel as opposed to bladed, and then a conical stud in the middle, again, as opposed to having two bladed studs. But overall, I think the performance is going to be very, very similar. So that's pretty much it as far as all the tech specs go and what you need to know in regards to the performance elements of the Superleggera 3. And move on next to a quick weigh-in so you can see how lightweight these guys are. In terms of weight, the Superleggera looks a lot lighter than it actually is, but that's not to say that it's a heavy shoe, because it absolutely is not. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. We're going to throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 9 ounces exactly. So they weigh ever so slightly more than the Tiempo Legend 5, not much to be completely honest, and again, about an ounce more than the Nike Premier. So yes, there is a difference in weight if you want to compare it to the two Tiempo models that are available from Nike in North America and Europe, but is this going to be the deciding factor if you're planning on getting in a pair of Superleggera 3s? I really don't think so. It's a nice weight range, and it's nice to see that Nike incorporated as many durability elements, if you want to call it that, into one shoe, while still maintaining a fairly lightweight and slim profile overall. So that's pretty much it as far as the weigh-in portion of the video is concerned, and move on next to a quick on feet so you can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit, and of course what the sizing is like. Alright, here's a look at the Superleggera 3s on feet, and as you might expect, they are very, very comfortable even from right out of the box. The kangaroo leather is very soft. The synthetic leather through the midfoot, as I mentioned, is also really soft and flexible. So in terms of break-in time, there's really not going to be too much required with the Superleggera 3, but give them a couple hours of wear time, and I'm sure that kangaroo leather will soften up even further and stretch to the exact shape of your foot. As far as the shape of the shoe is concerned, it's designed for the Asian market, so it's going to be a little bit wider than pretty much all the other Nike models that are available in North America. Not by a lot, but it definitely is something that's noticeable. It's just a more generous profile pretty much all the way through the midfoot, forefoot, and toe box area. Again, they still have to maintain a relatively snug fit from right out of the box because it is a natural leather material and it is going to stretch. But in terms of width, these are going to fit just about anybody, even if you do have some pretty significantly wide feet. As far as sizing goes, unlike the Nike Premier and the current Legend 5, these run true to size, whereas, like I said, the North American Tiempos run about a half size small this year. So if you are planning on ordering a pair of Superleggera 3s for yourself from Japan or wherever you're ordering them from in Asia, I would strongly recommend going true to size for the best possible fit. Alright guys, that's it for my unboxing of the Nike Tiempo Superleggera 3. This is a shoe that I'm personally very excited to try out. I'm a big fan of kangaroo leather soccer shoes. This one is fairly simple in that it combines the kangaroo leather and the high quality synthetic on the upper. It's a comfortable shoe from right out of the box. I like this stud pattern already, as I'm pretty familiar with it at this point in time. And overall, it's just a really clean, good looking, and high quality shoe from what I can tell so far. So again, really excited to try these out. I'm going to be following up with my full written review in the next couple of weeks or so stay tuned for that. If you guys want to check out the review page on my website, there will be a link down below in the description. You can check out the high quality close-up images of this shoe. That'll give you a better idea as to how it actually does look in person, because there aren't a lot of great images of the Superleggera 3 online, but again, you can find them on the review page. As far as getting a pair of these is concerned, eBay is really going to be your best bet. They aren't really sold anywhere except for in Asia or Japan. So again, if you want to get a pair for yourself, you're going to have to order them from overseas, depending on where you live, of course. As far as what I'm going to do with this shoe in the future, let me know down below in the comment section if you guys would like to see a playtest video, comparisons, whatever it may be, whatever your ideas are, leave them down below in the comments. If you have any questions regarding the Superleggera 3, leave those down below in the comment section as well, and I will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, want to continue seeing this kind of unusual type of product on my channel, be sure to support the video with a like. I would really, really appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.